Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nick Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we are joined by Francina Ashok. Francina is a global IT specialist in consulting. She's had many years experience in that. And Francina, if you can kind of tell our listeners a little more about what it is you do. And first of all, I want to welcome you and thank you for joining me on the Flex Forward podcast. And glad to have you. If you can let our listeners just know a little more about you.
Sure thing, Nick. Thank you so much. Yes, I go by Frankie, and thank you very much for having me here. I've been excited to listen in and share my experiences and also hear from you. I am based out of Dallas, and did you want me to ask? Did you want me to respond what I do right now?
Yeah. Just kind of what do you do in the IT world? And
yes. Yeah, absolutely. So I have about 17 years under my belt, and I'm a master's in business administration by education, and then I've joined a company called Infosys, which is a global leader in services, technology services. They have worldwide presence. So I have been with them for a really long time, and I've had the good fortune to work under some really remarkable mentors. And in my current role as a retail transformation platform leader, I work with some really brilliant minds from the CX level and the technology side, bridge gap, and then make things happen, strategic technology initiatives, all this while I was a stuttering, nervous kid. So that's me in short.
Awesome. Well, I don't see any stuttering or nervousness now, so you carry yourself forward. Well, that's awesome to be, 17 years in global IT consulting is very competitive market out there, I would assume. What's something that sets you apart from others that's helped you to be able to achieve the level of success you've had?
Thank you, Nick. Though it's very humbling, I cannot say that I'm successful in the truest sense. I'm still reaching, trying to hit that goal.
Sure.
But what I would definitely say that's worked well for me is that I've always pushed myself into the uncomfortable zone. Like for instance, doing this podcast with you, I was very skeptical, whether I have value that I can share. And then I dabbled around, and then on the third nudge from your team is when I said, okay, you know what can I lose? So that's the attitude that I take. I've had several roles within the 17 years. I've learned on the job. So learnability and adaptability, maybe because I'm a middle child, I'm super high. I know you have 3 kids.
Yes.
So I'm super high on being able to adapt. And because I had stuttering problem when I was a child, I started flexing my observation skills, and I would read a room, body language and facial clues. That's kind of come in a lot of work to my advantage, because I seem to ride on the currency of likability wherever I go. So being authentic, being able to bounce back, and then building true relationship, staying relevant, because you see the market is hard. There's a lot of layoffs. Oracle also announced a bunch of layoffs this morning. So I think staying relevant, adapting to technology, AI, and what is really required for our customers, keeping customers at the heart of all our conversation. I think that's something that's worked well for me, Nick.
Well, and the stuttering, I know it was very hard, but you see that you had something good come out of you. Grew, that you're able to read the room.
Yeah.
And so, you've taken something that's challenging and grew in it, but also saw the positive. And I think that helps a lot of successful entrepreneurs or people who are successful in life. They don't dwell on the challenges they have and see how it's holding them back. You saw things that helped you grow and be a better communicator, probably not only in your business world, but also in your family and friends, just being able to read people and know. And then maybe that's part of, because that's my middle child. She can see people. She really senses people. I don't know if that's a middle child thing or not, but she picks up on people's feelings really easy. And then helps, kind of helps those people, and helps them have a shoulder to cry on or encourage them. She's really good at sensing that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting that that's my middle child also,
Yeah.
that we see that trait
Maybe
in.
there is a scientific reasoning behind it, but I read somewhere that being a middle child is not easy because you don't have the respect that an elder one gets, the eldest one, and you don't get the pampering that the youngest
That
one
the
gets, right? So you find a coping mechanism. And I believe any new opportunity, any client that I work with, the first thing I go to an interview or a consulting gig is the first question that I ask when it's my turn to ask is, how can I help you? And that's immediately, ammunitions are put down on the ground because
sure.
ultimately that's what we are trying to solve, right? Day in and
Hmm.
day out. It's a need. It's a customer need. That's about it.
That's great stuff. What is something you may have just answered this that you have found comes easy to you that others may have found challenging through your journey?
I seem to keep hearing that I have an inherent ability to bring rope in people together. So, in my mind, I think I'm, as cliched as it sounds, a Wonder Woman. She has that lasso. I know it's
Yeah,
the lasso of truth. But then in my head, when I'm faced with the situation, and I always work with people day in and day out, and technology is hard sometimes because it's way beyond your um,
training or
training and it's beyond your control sometimes, right?
Mhm.
Infrastructure is beyond your control, but then time doesn't expand. Time is money. So roping in people, telling them why they need to do, why are we doing this? I think that really helps. And that's something that I can effortlessly bring to the table. And that's the value that I bring. And
That's
being honest
awesome.
about that communication. Yeah.
Yeah, and communicating
Yeah.
is so important. So if someone's listening and wants to get better at something, have you found any other podcasts or books or something that you've done that's helped you improve in some walk of your life?
I want to say in the last 1 week, Flex Forward is something that I've really
Thank you very
enjoyed.
much.
Yeah, I listened to some of the speakers and I had to go back and listen to them again. I love books. I've started getting back to reading books. I keep flipping through Tim Ferriss' Tools of the Titan. It's not a
Hmm.
book that you can read start to finish, but you keep going back. Um, when I drive to work, which is every day, I listen to Smartless. It's a podcast. Smartless. It's on Amazon Prime. It has Jason Bateman and a bunch of other people. I'm forgetting Sean and the tall guy. I forget his name, but they bring amazing celebrities, and it's so humbling to see the path that people have gone through. So uh,
That's awesome.
that
Yeah.
grounds me. Yeah.
Well, I think just listening to some type of, I mean, some are better than others, but you can fall into a rut of just listening to music or just listening to talk
Yeah.
radio. And are those growing you? And not that those things are necessarily bad, but if that's all you're doing, you have a lot of, but when I still had a W-2 job, I spent a lot of time in the car. So I did a lot of
Got it.
audiobooks and podcasts.
Yeah.
Kind of miss it now that I work from home.
Yeah.
I don't miss driving around all day, but I do miss that time. I mean, I can knock out a lot, maybe 2 books a month sometimes
Yeah.
just from audiobooks, and
Yeah.
I don't get that now. I have property about 2 hours away that I drive and see every 1 to 3 weeks, and so those are good times to catch up on listening to an audiobook, but just that continuous improvement with
Yes.
reading. And you said something earlier about mentors through your career. I think having mentors too are so important. Whatever path you're taking, be it medicine or IT or real estate, finding
Yes.
somebody that has gone down that path and is already made some of the mistakes that you can come in and learn from will really help people accelerate their success and reduce their number of mistakes. That really
Absolutely.
strengthen.
Yeah, a growth mindset is at the heart of the way I operate. You're constantly, in incremental changes, right? Like the atomic habits. I'm a believer of atomic habits, micro habits,
Clear, yeah,
cumulative, yeah, for bigger outcomes. I know that you were a physiotherapist by profession for 20
sure,
years, and now you've got into real estate, right? You've
yes.
totally come out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I would have always thought of myself more of an introvert. And
Yeah.
I think am in some settings, but I love doing the real estate stuff so much. When I'm around that setting, I'm a much more extroverted.
Uh-huh.
If we're at a party or gathering, my wife is like, "Hey, it's time to go." And I can sit and talk about real estate with strangers forever.
Oh
Whereas
my.
before, I was usually the one like, "All right, I'm ready to go home when we're at a
Yeah.
party. I've had
Yeah.
my fill." And she's the extrovert gets energy from groups, from
Right.
crowds. Yeah,
Yes.
but something with the real estate, I'm like, it energizes me to.
Passionate.
And
Yeah.
so, I wish I would have started it 20 years earlier, but I didn't. So you just take in, start from where you're at if you're finding something new to expand in.
It's the journey. And then, Nick, I completely agree with you. There are days when it's I get into a room full of senior uh, professionals, and I work in ambiguity, and I'm a complete black and white kind of a person, but I work in ambiguity to bring about clarity, right?
Mm,
I'm translating high level, executive level strategic requirements into detailed technical plan, and I'm holding teams accountable, and I'm bringing in that productivity. But some days are hair pulling. But for me to, the passion that I drive, the passion that fuels me is, okay, I love working with these people, and this is our mission. This is the outcome. This is the value that we are going to bring to the table. This is the customer that we're going to acquire. This is how we are going to retain customer. So those kind of, that, the why behind what you're doing, right? I
hmm
think that puts a lot of perspective in the purpose, and then nothing becomes too difficult.
No, that's great. And in anything time something's difficult, I think taking small steps to kind of
Yes.
just yeah, it may seem like this big giant problem, but if you can just find that first step and
First
kind of
step,
start
yeah.
taking that first step up the mountain, or what the old saying of how to eat a well or an elephant or something like
Eat
that
an
is
elephant. I was just
what,
about to say, you cannot eat an elephant in one go,
correct.
bit by
Yep.
bit. Yeah.
One bite at a time.
One bite at a time.
Well, that's awesome. Have you had any challenges or anything? What's one of the biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your journey?
Imposter syndrome.
Mm,
Not many people talk about it, but that is something that I constantly question myself. And then a mentor that I really look up to, he suggested, Frankie, you need to go out there and start doing storytelling. And that's what I'm doing at work anyway. So I've started doing my leadership series on LinkedIn. It's a form of building my brand. So that's something that I'm doing, and it gives me a creative outlet.
oh, nice.
And then that kind of dumbs down the voice, that I cannot do
Sure.
something, I cannot take up a new role, or am I going to say something that doesn't make sense to a CX level executive? But the very fact that I'm at the table, I've earned the place at the table,
Sure.
that means they see some value. So that's something that I constantly work, and I try to keep that out of the closet. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations. Sounds like things are going really well for you and in your business and world. So, a lot of entrepreneurs like myself or business owners, as they grow their business, they realize that, hey, it's time for money. You're saying you've got to work to be able to earn that. And, people start thinking about looking at other alternative investments at that time. Have you ever looked at doing any outside or alternative investments to, eventually maybe replace or supplement your current income?
Nick, the short answer is yes, because travel is so expensive and we love travel.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, down the road, I have a stable job now, but down the road, yes, always open to passive income, right? That I can flex my competency on to monetize it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that's important, especially, and for me, that's kind of what got me started down the real estate
Is it?
road
Okay.
path, and it's allowed us to travel more and not have that
Yeah.
that having to clock in every day. So I think it's
Yeah.
important for people to start considering different options. So as we're
Yes.
wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives for the next 6 to 12 months?
So thanks for asking. I volunteer at a foundation called Joy. It's Jururim Organization for Youth Excellence.
Okay.
It's catered to empower children through education. They have a Spring Fest on April 25th, and it's happening in McKinney. So that's something that I've already posted on my LinkedIn. There are tickets available. They have games for growth. There are sponsors. So this is towards a very good cause. So that's something that I'm really excited, and I would like to shout out that if anybody's interested on
Yeah.
to
Yeah. Let
come
everybody
April
know.
25th, 9:30 to 1 o'clock. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Frankie, thank you so much for joining us today on the Flex Forward podcast and sharing tips and insights. If people would like to connect with you, what's the best way for them to get in touch with you?
I'm active on LinkedIn. I go by Francina Ashok.
You want to spell that for everybody?
Yes, it's Francina space Ashok.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. It's been great getting to know you and visit with you. And I know you've got great things in your future and
Oh,
can't wait
thank you,
I'm going to
Nick.
connect on LinkedIn and kind of
I'll,
follow you along. Well, great. And listeners, thanks everyone for listening and be sure to keep tuning in.
thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Nick. Pleasure is all
You're
mine. Thank
welcome.
you.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.